All right.
I think we're good to go. Agnes, do you think that's okay?
I think we're good to go.
203. Perfect. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by the Canadian Professional Sales Association and our accredited partner, Agnes Land of Change Connect. My name is Rupalin, and I will be moderating the session today. Today's webinar will cover building profitable partnerships that last, where we learn the psychology of collaboration, 3 essential elements of a mutually beneficial partnership, review a couple of partnership use cases, and brainstorm why they work, and how you go about setting your own partnerships. Your host today is Agnes Land, VP of Business Development at Change Connect, offering customized solutions for small to mid-sized businesses with a focus on sales transformation to help them work more efficiently and effectively. They help businesses reconfigure their sales compensation structures to align with many company objectives, implement sales training programs, revamp sales hiring processes, and provide scalable change management for specific sales needs. Now, I know that Agnes had just mentioned a couple of these, but just to go over our quick housekeeping rules again, please note that all of today's attendees have been placed on mute for the duration of the workshop, and that you can ask any questions or make any comments using the questions function in your GoToWebinar dashboard, and I'll facilitate that conversation. We'll address this at the end in our Q&A session. This workshop will be recorded, and the material referenced in today's session is available to download after the fact. It should take me about a day or so, and I'll get the recording to our group. Now, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Agnes to start.
Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Good. A beautiful day outside. I was preparing for this presentation, so I didn't get a chance to go outside, but I've been enjoying the gorgeous January weather despite what's going on out there with the lockdown. So without further ado, let's get right into partnership. And I think part of the reason why I'm so gung-ho about sharing with you our know-how and generally sharing best practice around partnership is because honestly, we have benefited so much from our partnership strategy that I feel like I need to evangelize this concept to the world. I mean, we are a sales consultancy by nature. So it's not that we don't already know that the great benefit of partnership exists. However, I can give you a key use case. During COVID, right? During COVID, a boutique management consulting firm that specializes in sales. I mean, we're so niche. We don't touch anything, any improvement that's not outside of sales. Many of other consulting firms have folded during COVID. I can tell you, we doubled down on our partnership strategy, and actually, over the course of COVID, we grew 100%. And I want to and that's why I'm so passionate about sharing the idea of partnership and how we can make it work for your business, because personally, I know we have made it work. And without further ado, let's get right to it. Rupen mentioned, Change Connect is an accredited partner of CPSA. Our training course allows you to, a part of your training, like its criteria for accreditation. So definitely talk to me about that after. But Change Connect is a sales consultancy that deal with all things sales. So if you have a problem, give me a call. And in terms of me, it's actually really odd. Agnes Land, you think, oh, it's a dime a dozen. But if you go to LinkedIn, there's actually only 3 Agnes Land. So you should be able to find me there. I want to put this up because then you draw a correlation with LinkedIn if you have any questions afterwards. All right, let's dive right into it. 4 topics today: psychology of collaboration, 3 essential elements of mutually beneficial partnership, review a couple of partnership examples, and we can get into it a little bit more in depth later on if you need. And I also want to talk a little bit about how to set up your own partnership and how to even start if you don't have one, or sometimes you're in a bad partnership. How do you actually, let's say, get out of it or hope to improve it? So first things first, what does collaboration mean to you in your world? It doesn't matter what collaboration mean to me in my world, right? What does collaboration mean to you in your world? If you can tell me in chat, or I think Rippling is setting up in chat or poll.
Yeah, we'll use the question function. You can just go ahead and enter your comment in there if you'd like to answer Agnes's interactive questions. Feel free to enter your text. Perfect. Beautifully beneficial, mutually beneficial relationship from Chris there. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else?
We have lots more. So working together using each individual's expertise, sharing of tasks and responsibilities to achieve a common goal.
Absolutely. So let me dive right into, what does it mean, right? Of course, there's no point in formulating a partnership, and as you guys mentioned, mutually beneficial partnership, if there is an organizational benefit. So, the better bottom line, right? That's the easy part. Strengthen the brand image, trust, achieve common goal, improve productivity, so on and so forth, right? A lot of organizational benefit associated. When you look at, I was doing exactly the same. I was telling you, taking this deck out to town because I believe in partnership so much. Went and have a conversation with Tech Canada and that group, and we were just right in the just it happened a few weeks ago. So we're right in the middle of the whole Beebs Tim Horton collaboration, right? What does that mean? There's gotta be organizational benefit that benefit the actual organization. But when we look at it, I am the one that always believe there's gotta be also individual benefit associated with it. Are we talking about shared skills? Are we talking about sense of purpose? Are we talking about engaging with others? What is it that individual level, right? We would benefit from having this partnership. And it's interesting because I see a lot of clients going and creating or forming these deal formulations and finding partners, because I tell them to find partners and they go find partners. Immediately they go pick someone they want to work with, right? They want to hang out with, or they get along with, and that's not a good place to start. Like my take on this isn't that I want you guys to work with people you don't enjoy, right? Not over, and it's not organizational benefit over individual benefit. My take on partnership have always been partnership cannot be built on the fact that you like somebody or you get along with somebody. However, the other is true, where if there is organizational benefit and you can't get along with the person that you want to partner with, a group of people you want to partner with, that won't fly either. So getting along and working and enjoying the partnership at that relationship level is also important to ensure that the partnership works. So from a business lens, one thing that is important to look at is it isn't so much about you. A lot of times when we talk about creating partnership, people are always looking at the fact that, okay, what is it that I want from somebody, right? The source, the core of the outreach have to do with me benefiting. And yeah, I suppose that's why I asked you to do a partnership, is because I want you to look at other alternatives to increasing business growth or expediting certain initiative and or decreasing cost. Sure, there is definitely that, you know, self-serving objective for a collaboration or a partnership. But through the business lens, I want you to look at it as a win-win situation. What do I get out of it? And what does my partner get out of it? I'll give you a classic example of a business or a collaboration we're working on now. So we do sales training. It's a big part of our revenue stream. And we realized that the government give government incentive for training workers, which is great. We also found out that if, let's say, an entity, whatever entity that is, organizes these training for a group of individuals and or a group of organizations, that entity, that consortium entity, that consortium, I guess, administrator, the person that applies for this training grant, they actually get 15% administrative kickback from the government for administrative work. So in a deal formulation, in my deal formulation brain. I'm saying, you know what? I know what to do for next quarter. So one of our biggest out, initiative going on right now is there's the training party, us, right? That obviously would get more revenue from more training, but we're actually actively reaching out to co-working space. Co-working space, honestly, the one that are thriving is doing great, but the ones that aren't, the neighborhood co-working space aren't doing very good during COVID, right? People aren't going into the office. They don't have that social pull for people to come in anymore. Business is plummeting. So if they can engage their old group back, they get 15% of that training administration fee from the government, and the organization that used to work in the co-working space and or peripheral of that become part of this cohort. They get training with essentially government subsidized up to 83%. Win, 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 right? So I'm not going to a co-working space and say, hey, sell my training, sell my training. There's just nothing in it for them. So when you're doing a deal formulation, you really gotta think, what's in it for me? What is it in it for them? Does it make sense for both parties to put effort in it? And you gotta have that value proposition clearly laid out. So when I look at some stats, let's look at some stats. I'm an engineer by trade, so I'm always about the stats. If you look at why business collaboration work, 28% of the revenue from high maturity partnership program compares to, just a regular partnership program. So definitely, and then that makes sense, right? You've been partnering with your partner for years, you have a process in place, naturally, you have a particular revenue stream that makes sense for you. 77%, what does that mean? 77% of company in co-selling partnership saw direct or indirect sales increase. If you have a co-sell relationship, like the Microsoft and the Microsoft partners of the world, naturally, right, there is an increase in sales because you are selling a more, if you think about it, a more full one-stop shop solution for your client. You're there to solve all your client needs. If you're a Microsoft, you have technology that you're providing, and if you're a Microsoft partner, you have the actual implementation to go along with the technology. Those go hand in hand, and so it makes sense. So naturally, you drum up more business for people that just provide technology or the people that just provide the implementation. Last but not least, 57%. 57% of the organization use partnership to acquire new customers, while 44% seek partnership for new ideas, insight, and innovation. So if you think about it, remember I just talked about the Beeps, right? Beeps and Tim Hortons. Why? Tim Hortons target clients, they're aging, right? Bringing the Beeps in, maybe they will be able to capture the younger crowd along to be more, I guess, more, I don't want to say faithful, but more loyal, maybe even give Tim's a try, right? What does that look like for you? And what does a Tim run look like? And really building in that habit through a collaboration like the Beeps. So far, so good. Remember, if you have any question, drop it in questions and we can work with Riplin on it later. If we talk about the 3 essential elements of mutually beneficial partnership, really, let's start from the basics. What does strategic alliance even really mean, right? Mutually beneficial arrangement for somebody. Someone just mentioned it earlier on. What does collaboration mean? It has to be a mutually beneficial relationship. In terms of the 3 goals I've set for myself, number 1, there's gotta be a purposeful connection, right? It's not just a friendship. We're getting together for a reason. We have our eyes on the prize. We know what we're chasing, like the couple there, right? I mean, if they weren't going together, there wouldn't be anyone to take pictures of each other at the summit, right? So joining, what is a purposeful relationship mean for the two, right? You want to achieve goals or solve problems. What is we're trying to do in this relationship? I mean, any sales. If you're not solving any problem, there's no sales, right? Or if you're trying to decrease your operating costs, maybe the partnership, but you're trying to solve a problem. Last but not least, you're sharing skill sets, right? Maybe there's certain organization that doesn't have the skill set that you have, and or vice versa, right? So you never really want to partner with someone that's exactly like you, right? A lot of time, first of all, there's conflict of interest, but also you're not adding you're not adding to the strength. I always, we talk a lot about sales hiring. Sales hiring the right rep can mean the world of a difference in your organization. And I always say, if you hire from the same, well, just because this guy's doing well, right? You hire another Sean, doesn't really add. It doesn't really add to the strength of your group. Plus, if you think about client buying from people they are like or like, right? Your client avatar is going to be the same regardless. The only thing you can do is widen your rep avatar so that your rep avatar overlaps with the client avatar so you can generate more business coordination and business relationship. So definitely complementary skill sets. Let's talk a little bit about why partnership fail, at least in my opinion, right? When I look at the three elements of success, we're really talking about the people, the logistics, and the performance. Let's start off with the people. People, maybe they're mixing personal relationship with business affairs. Maybe they have different values. Maybe they have a personality clash. Maybe they don't trust each other. No, baggage that comes along with people, right? Logistics wise, maybe as you enter into this partnership, there was no clear role. I don't know what I'm expected of. Sure, we're in partnership. I don't know what you expect of me. Maybe there's a lack of communication, right? Everyone's busy, right? We're not really communicating to get to what is it that we want. And last but not least is the performance part. So maybe there's a lack of success. Let's start off with that, right? But maybe we're not even measuring what success even means, and or continuously improving to loop a better process in place to ensure better performance. We may have unequal commitment. If one person's giving more than the other, or one entity is giving more than the other, right? That won't work either in an equal partnership. And of course, last but not least, from a performance standpoint, is that lack of vision. Maybe the partnership is driven from one entity, and both entities just never see eye to eye. So there's quite a bit of logistics that's associated with perform that allows for people to succeed or partnership to succeed. So things that, let's go back here. So things that we do, to avoid the partnership, of course, then it's going to be equally in the same three buckets, right? We have the people bucket, the logistics bucket, and the performance bucket. In people, then we need to establish clear value and aligned goals. Okay, in the beginning, and yeah, a lot of times people don't want to talk about it in the beginning. A lot of times people just, I've been working with Sam forever. Sam knows. No, Sam doesn't know, right? Just like, you wouldn't go into a business partnership. Let's say, I share, you get all in your shareholder agreement. I'm sure you laid out everything because my lawyer made us lay out everything, right? And also the key in that piece is also the dissolve, the um the dissolve business clause or whatever you call it, right? How do you proceed to dissolve the business if things go right? Right? So you want to establish clear value and align goals and objectives. You want to invest time to building that trust and relationship. People trust people. Entities don't trust entities. There's nothing to trust in an entity, right? People trust people. What does that look like from the team's perspective, right? Create open culture for sharing. If you're going to be partners, then you have to share, right? At least in that part that's relevant, right? If you're always holding back on saying, oh, that's trade secret, well, you know what? Then it's hard. It's just hard to move on if there's no transparency. From a logistics standpoint, definitely clear roles and expectation. We want to emphasize the communication of the roles is most important, because if that person doesn't know that what they're doing, if that entity doesn't know what is it that they're measuring up to, then it's hard for them to see eye to eye and have a clear way forward. Last but not least, the verification of accountability, right? You don't, in sales, right? We measure success quarter after quarter, month after month. And of course, the more sophisticated ones talked about leading indicators versus lagging indicators. But in a lot of partnership, if you think about it, A lot of partnership actually don't define the KPIs from the beginning, right? They just do their partnership thing, they co-sell or whatnot, and then let it be. Oh, but they are not us. They are just our co-seller. I can't force them to sell this much. I can't give them a target. They're just a co-seller. Of course you can, right? They joined the relationship. They joined you because there is an opportunity at play, right? The worst is if you are wishy-washy about the target, you're unhappy, they're unhappy, then you stop supporting them, they don't get the support that they need, and hence they're failing in the performance. That's not gonna fly either. So set clear expectation. Identify new needs and expectation as well, right? It's a feedback loop, I told you. So try something, it doesn't work, come back, what didn't work, let's do it again, right? Assuming this is the right strategy. Seek further opportunity for growth, right? Feedback loop. So if you see, even in a partnership, right, you're looking at it as a continuous improvement initiative, even if the entities or they're separate entities. Make sense so far? The other thing I also want to mention that's really hot at the moment is a lot of times if we think back even 5 years ago, when we talk about partnership, is a one-to-one entity partnership. In today's world, especially with so much tech involved, we've now established an ecosystem. If you think about Salesforce, for example, Salesforce have their app store, internal app store, their app exchange. So if you go in there, that's a whole Salesforce ecosystem that ensure the client get what they want, and this ecosystem support each other, right? So not only is that a relationship between, Anaplan is one of my favorite apps in Salesforce. So it's not only a relationship between Anaplan and Salesforce, it's also a relationship between Salesforce and Anaplan and QuickBook, because there's gotta be a way to deal with finances and invoicing, right? So really, it's where it's at with partnership right now is the whole idea of a partnership ecosystem. How can you, like I mentioned, my co-working space, us, and the actual client, right? How do you create an ecosystem that support one another's growth? So far, so good. Remember questions in the question box. Okay. I'm gonna go over a few partnership. A lot of times when we think partnership, oh, Agnes, you Change Connect is a sales consultancy, so naturally you partner with marketing firms. That's true. It's true. Marketing firms that also chase after small, mid-sized business are a fantastic partner for us because we mutually go after the same target. And marketing and sales go hand in hand. People that bring in the deals through marketing channel naturally need their rep to be able to close those deals. Deals don't close by themselves. So it doesn't matter how hard the marketing people work. If there's no efficiency in sales, we're wasting a lot of leads. So naturally, yes, there's partnership there. But like I mentioned, Change Connect, co-working space. It doesn't meet the eye when I just tell you, but as I mentioned, now you see why that partnership works. Sometimes partnership isn't what it appears. I pulled up the case for GoPro and Red Bull. What? One is a video camera or a hardware provider. One is an energy drink. They have actually one of the best partnership possible because both the target audience for GoPro and the target audience for Red Bull happen to be adventure seekers, right? They love the same thing. Adventure, bungee jumping. There's bungee jumping. There's their collaboration they did. They sponsored some space shuttle into space. But they're looking at who they target. They want to further gain market share in each other's market share, and it proves to be a huge financial success. Give you a few more. Uber and Spotify. So you hop into Uber, you can play that rider's Spotify playlist because as they get into Uber, they feel that personal touch. They feel that there is this hominess in this Uber ride. right? That is an interesting partnership associated with customer experience. Adidas and Peloton, same idea. Peloton wasn't doing much with their apparel. They partnered with Adidas. Adidas was able to leverage Peloton's cult-like membership base, and Adidas actually online sales went up significantly. Same idea with Home Depot and Pinterest. Their collaboration allowed them to pin certain home improvement things, of course, and they realized that that link back into the actual online store and in-store sale jumped significantly through the visualization of Pinterest. Sometimes partnership aren't what meets the eye. It isn't sales consulting and sales and marketing firm. It's not just that. Sometimes you got to think outside the box. So far, so good. So next, last but not least, let me see how much time I have left. So good time. So now I want to show you a little bit about how do you set up your own partnership. I'm gonna jump. So there's this worksheet that we work with client. I'm gonna show you just very quickly so that you get to see. 1 second. Okay. So when you identify partnership or strategic relationship that works for your business, there's a few things to consider. And every cell should be filled out. Like I don't, when we work with clients, I'm like, oh, no, but that doesn't matter, but that doesn't matter. And before long, nothing matters. Then why are we in partnership in the first place? So first things first, is there a strategic upside? What is our current situation now, and where do we want this to go if we partner with this firm, right? What is the strategic upside? We evaluate the current state against what is it that we desire to do, and see if it makes sense, right? Is this where we want to deploy our resources? Second thing we consider is financial upside. I'll make it a bit bigger so you guys can see the financial upside. Is there a product upside? Are we doing R&D together? What's the current relationship with this partner? What is the executive relationship with this partner? Let's talk a little bit of competition. What is competition in this workplace? If we partner with them, are we more competitive? Are we gaining more competitive necessity? Are we taking advantage and really hitting the mark with leveraging and increasing our competitive advantage? What is our customer alignment, right? I told you a little bit about the Beeps and the Tim Hortons, right? GoPro and Red Bull. Is there room for growth, right? What does that look like if we partner? What is the exact partnership here opportunity? Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Are we talking about co-branding exercise? Are we talking about are we talking about sponsoring an F1 team together? Are we talking about sponsoring? Don't forget about F1 team for a second. I'm a hockey mom. Are we talking about co-sponsoring a hockey team in the market that you play in? What does that look like? And company strategic alignment. Once we do this, what is their company vision? What is their company goal? Does it align with ours? Because I can have the best partner, but if our company vision is completely different, then we're giving mixed signals and messages to our client. What does that look like? Is the vision too far apart? And then really having current state, and of course the key here is future state metrics to ensure that the partnership is a successful one, and we're able to chase after a partnership that is meaningful for both parties. And of course, right, you can use that worksheet for new partnership that you're looking into, but you can also look at that partnership or you work at spreadsheet on existing partners that you have. And of course, one of the outcome of doing an analysis and deep dive into your partnership arrangement currently is perhaps the way that we set up our existing partnership doesn't work for us, right? So do we want to swipe left or swipe right? Right? Do we care that we want to give them another chance? Let's work at it. Or is it, you know what? Love ya. We'll still go out and we'll happy hour, but this just isn't going to work out from a business perspective. And that's okay too, right? So when you plan for change, if you're ready to go ahead and give this another try, consider what is your current and prospective partnerships. What does that look like? We want to also identify elements that you wish to maintain. Maybe, hey, relationship are not rosy. I love my husband. He's the best husband possible, but I can tell ya, his snoring, oh, right? Which part you want to maintain? Which part don't you want to maintain? Identify the things that you want to change. What does that look like? I just want to pluck his nose, right? But you want to create an action plan and communicate it with the team. The key is, now the senior leadership have made the decision. What does that plan look like? How are we going to action it, right? It's all about the implementation. I've been in the business long enough to know strategy is a strategy. It's great. It sounds good on paper. And that's why we got out of the business of just doing strategy, because strategy, yeah, 30% of the success, but the implementation and how you execute on the strategy ultimately is what dictate whether you get the ROI or not. And then last but not least, set concrete goals and follow up on progress regularly. Going back, right? One of the issue of a lot of partnership is that there is no accountability and no KPI. Really setting that up and really changing it and making it a 2022 priority. Of course, now if through the worksheet you've identified new partners you want to work with, what does that look like? Number one, determine the value that your firm seeks and benefit. Start from you. What is it that you want, right? Do you want a brand alignment? Do you want more brand recognition? Who will you partner with for that? Do you want to, I would say poach, but do you want to tap into someone's talent pool because you don't have that in-house, the R&D? What does that partnership look like, right? What is it that you want? Number two, we want to identify potential partners, right? Work the worksheets. What does partnership A look like? Partnership B look like? C look like? Work out the rest of the worksheet and see what value they bring to you, but also what value you bring to them and their unique situation. You want to craft a pitch. It's no different. It's no different than a sales pitch. You go in, you want a partner, pitch them. Why is there alignment? Why should they also work with you? Last but not least, you want to follow up and you want to refine the agreement. Right? Remember I told you in the beginning why partnership fail, because there's no clear role. There's no communication or lack of communication. So make it a priority. Make sure that you spell it out from day one. Same slide, remember, the reason why partnership fail, people, logistics, and performance. So in order to ensure that we have success, we make sure that we follow the people, logistics, and performance metrics. Set individual, company, and partner goals, define roles and accountability measures, organize joint business planning. It isn't one-sided. It isn't I tell you what I want you to do. It's got to be a collaboration from day one. What does that look like, right? But it also alleviate a lot of problem down the road when one partner do more than the other. There's a lack of shared vision. If they're at the same table from day one, then there wouldn't be an equal commitment. There wouldn't be a lack of shared vision, right? You want to build trust. You want to promote transparency. It's a process. Partnership is a process, right? What does that look like? You want to ensure that there is something in it for everybody. And last but not least, but you want to leave room for growth. I'm gonna leave you with some red flags. A lot of times, everyone wants to keep a partnership and they're like, well, how do you know something isn't quite right? Your vague responses. Yeah, I'll call you back. Yeah, I know that's an issue. Bobby's working on it. I don't know what's going on. I'll get back to you. They don't get back to you for weeks, right? Unbalanced work, unrealistic expectation is a big one, because the party that actually put in a lot of effort will have more expectation out of what is it that they're trying to achieve than the party that's not putting in as much effort. So there's unrealistic expectation, inflexible, unflexible arrangement. We also want to focus on competitors, and the last is we're rushing to a deal or we're rushing to a partnership. And rushing is bad all around, because going back to what I mentioned earlier, the logistics, the role, the expectation, that's not clear. And when you rush into a partnership, it just doesn't work because none of the rule of engagement isn't laid out. I always ask this at the end. I would love to see it in chat if you get a moment. What is your biggest takeaway today? And you spend an hour with me. What is that one thing you're gonna do differently? It would help, like, it would enlighten me to know what you're going to do. And now I'm gonna leave it for Q&A. I know I spoke about an offer as well. So we'll do sales consulting. So one of the things I was hoping to give you guys a goodie to take with you. So I can offer you our mini sales assessment for free. We normally do it for the bigger sales assessment at $2,500 at client side. So I can offer you a mini assessment if I know Riplin and Janine's gonna email you guys afterwards. Just email them back or I'll follow up afterward to see if you guys want to sign up for the offer. All righty, I'll stop sharing screen.
Thank you so much, Agnes. That's so generous. And as Agnes mentioned, we will be in touch. We'll put the link over to the mini assessment in the post-webinar communications with the recording inside it as well. So as Agnes mentioned, we are in our Q&A session. We have a few minutes for that. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask about our content today, please feel free to enter it into the question function in your dashboard, and we will get to it. We'll give it maybe a few minutes just to kind of get everybody started, Agnes.
Sure. I'm not seeing you guys, but I guess it's okay. Any questions?
Not yet. Shire group today, I think.
I see some questions.
Perfect. So a few questions here. The first one is, how receptive do you find potential strategy partners to this approach?
I think a big part have to do with whether they're used to the idea of partnership in the first place, Curtis. So if they are used to partnership as a strategy, then I find those people get right to it and they are able to lay down what is a benefit for them, what is a benefit for you, and they're able to formulate what the partnership look like. And I enjoy that kind of conversation because it's very direct. They know what they want, you know what you want, is either you do it or not. However, I find with entities that aren't used to partnership as a strategy have a tough time understanding what that means. And honestly, I think the Brad had the question to how long does it take? It can take years. If they don't understand the benefit of strategy, it takes them a while to understand. But if obviously you can move on to the next partner, but also if you believe that's a right partnership, sometimes it is getting the executive buy-in and having it pushed down from the top and see, and doing it at incremental runs, right? What does a pilot look like for this partnership? And then expanding it from a pilot partnership into a long-term strategy.
Thanks so much, Agnes. Our next one here is from Brad. How long does it typically take to develop a partnership?
Yeah, Brad, like I mentioned, right? So depending on how receptive they are to a partnership in the first place, certain firms understand, and it could be, I would say, from beginning to when a partnership is drafted up and implementing something can take a short, depending on the size of the organization as well, obviously. But if we're talking about small, mid-sized business, companies, we have less than, let's say, between 50 to 300 employee, a partnership can be draft up fairly quickly. I would say 3 to 6 months before it goes ahead. And for bigger organization, obviously, partnership can take much, much longer.
Thanks, Agnes. We have Bruce asking if you can elaborate on the organized joint planning piece.
So organize, Bruce, where are you? Let me see. Organize joint planning. Can you elaborate what that means? If you mean the joint planning session for the partnership itself?
I think that's what Bruce means, but maybe you can kind of fill in our question mark. There we go. Is this an expansion on the accountability from Bruce?
Okay. I think it's beyond accountability. So when you talk about the joint planning piece, if it is an established partnership, or if it's a partnership I want to do in 2022, for example, like my co-working space, we've been working at it since Q4 because we've identified in Q3 that it was a strategy for 2022. So when we look into that, when we actually reach out to our potential partners, you sit down, you talk about the benefit of each, and you really lay out exactly like I mentioned, like a spreadsheet that I showed you, the various different things that we need to talk about, timeline, benefit, resourcing, and you lay out a plan on exactly what we're doing. Like even, I'm gonna talk about the Beeps and Tim Hortons, right? We talk about the Beeps and Tim Hortons. There's many ways they can collaborate, right? It doesn't mean that they have to whatever design or make these Timbits, right? So there's many ways for them to collaborate. They have landed on that one initiative. So same idea as you go to your joint planning sessions. One thing I'm going to suggest, especially if it's a new formulated relationship or a relationship that haven't been working out so well for you, sit down and instead of focusing, oh my God, this co-selling relationship, I'm going to net another $3 million from this year. Sure, that could be your goal, but break it down into bite-sized chunks to get to that $3 million. What does that look like? Do I support them with my sales team, support your sales team on sales call, and hence, we look like one entity? Or do we go to a sales call and look like two entities, right? You don't have to get it down to that level. I have a really good relationship with some Microsoft partner because we can also do the change management part of any implementation. So when we talk to them about it, idea is the same. If they do implementation, they do it right away. They may or may not buy change management. So getting to the table as one deal may or may not work for you. But if the change management piece is an add-on deal, hey, it's stickier and you get your return on investment faster if you also consider change management in your implementation plan, then you open up another world to the client, right? But then they're not dependent on each other to buy each other, because I also don't want to slow down my partner's deals. So, but in your joint plan, you should talk about all that, because that's exactly where the issue is with a lot of current partnership, is they don't get down to planning at that level and they let it ride. And letting it ride never flies.
Thanks, Agnes. I think this one is a really good question about different kinds of relationships. So how do you see partnerships between corporate businesses and associations / non-for-profit organizations where the latter are more there for support?
So we have quite a few not-for-profit clients as well. And a lot of time, you're right. If we look at the Excel spreadsheet, if you look at the strategic alignment, the operational alignment, like we said, and the financial alignment may not be there, right? But if you look at the strategic alignment and operational alignment, it might be. So, I'm a huge fan of Second Harvest. So if you look at Second Harvest, their collaboration with the no-frills of the world, right? No-frills gonna throw those fruits out anyways, right? It's waste. It's not corporately responsible to do that. So how are they going to collaborate with Second Harvest to ensure that we are eliminating food waste? So sure, there isn't financial benefit, but it's huge on a branding front. And I'm not saying No Frills doing it for the branding purposes, but if you look at where is the mutual beneficial piece, I have Milk Bank with another startup that we're working with. The client is they do autoimmune development R&D. So their thought process or their patent is on using breast milk to I guess I'm obviously not a doctor, but grab the antibody from the breast milk to ensure that they build up autoimmune for certain class of people that were sick. So if you look at that, the breast milk, obviously you guys, I didn't know this before I met them either. Certain breast milk at the milk bank actually goes to waste because obviously it expires. So they're able to take those breast milk and be able to generate something that makes sense that they can sell. If you look at it, right, they're actually turning someone's garbage into a very viable product, and they're saving I mean, forget about just revenue. They're also, these people are saving the world, right? So you just have to look at your value proposition and where the alignment is. And like I said earlier, you have to treat it like a sales pitch, right? Where's your value proposition? Why would someone collaborate with you? And take your message out. And if your message isn't resonating, then that means your value proposition might be maybe a little off. So work with your potential partners and see exactly where the alignment is and find that value proposition that makes sense for them.
Thanks, Agnes. I think this next one's really relevant. So our company is a distributor. So in a sense, all we have are partnerships. What would you do to recommend to those? What would you recommend to improve those relationships with our existing dealer network?
Perfect. Actually, we have a client that talking about the same conversation yesterday with another client 2 days ago. They sell smart toilets, and same idea set up. They distribute through the distributors, right? They don't actually do the selling. So one of the things I've been telling to them about is, hey, you know what? It's not just a matter of them carrying your product. It's a matter of them carrying your product and the rep able to articulate what is your value proposition to the end user, right? So there is that whole product knowledge piece that could be missing from the churn, from the sale, right? So I would definitely, I mean, one thing I would suggest, that's more a key strategic account setup. But work out your key strategic account, look at your current state in terms of how much they're selling for you and where do you believe the potential is financially, especially in your situation, right? Because it's a financial transaction. Then look at the rest of the initiative. How are we supporting them? Like, is there a gap, right? Why are they selling not enough for us? There's tons of customer flow in that store, but I'm only capturing 0.01. Why is that? But they still keep my stuff on the shelf. What does that mean? So really laying it out. And I would highly suggest that you, with each of your vendor, at least have an annual strategic planning session on planning out what that relationship look like, and at least, if not, a quarterly review session to see how you can improve moving forward. Because before long, once you set up that cadence, what I find with good partners is that, because it's mutually beneficial, right? If they sell more, you sell more, they sell more, right? So with this type of relationship, in the beginning, they might not know what to ask for. So don't give up after setting up 2 meetings, right? By the 3rd meeting, once they know that you're there to support them, they'll have more asks, right? Whether that ask is technical training, whether that ask is shelf space, whether it's trade dollars, or whether it's co-marketing strategy, asking you to do a bit more marketing on your end so there's brand presence everywhere else. They'll come back to you with ideas, but you have to start the conversation, right? Going back, it's also that transparency in the relationship. What is it that I offer? What is it that you offer? How come we come together? And where does it fit to make it work? But it is the key strategic account. If you haven't done it, it's a great exercise.
Thank you, Agnes. And I think one more here. This sounds good for larger businesses, but it seems far beyond what very small entrepreneurs or one person is the entire business might be able to use. Can you comment on that, Agnes?
I wouldn't say that. Actually, quite on the contrary. I would say if you're a one-person business, you need more partnership because you don't have the bandwidth yourself, right? But you do have to be much more careful about and be decisive about where your value proposition is. I mean, Change Connect isn't a big firm, right? There's 12 of us. So it isn't like we're like 100 people like Deloitte either, right? So I love CPSA, partially because going back to what I originally said, right? It isn't just because the relationship work, the people have to work, right? I love the CPSA team. So a big part of his thinking with alignment is where you want to spend your resources. But I would argue that actually is even more most important if you are a solopreneur because of resourcing issue. You just have to think a bit harder into where your value proposition is and where your potential partnership lies.
CPSA loves you too, Agnes. One more question. Any examples of partnerships that have worked well in your business?
Yes, definitely. So CPSA for sure, because CPSA has great visibility into obviously the sales community. And if anybody that's looking for sales issue, they're gonna when they Google sales best practice, CPSA is gonna come up, right? So that relationship have worked well for us. In the coming year, actually, we are actually for the first time. This is also a reason for getting together. So at the end of last year, Sandro, Janine, and I actually got together and talk about, hey, what does the CPSA's Change Connect partnership look like? So we talk a lot about where our value proposition lie, which is improving top line for small mid-sized businesses. So we look at that and they're like, you know what, that's great, because a lot of our course that we offer, I have an IBMer that's been in sales for the last 20 years with a solopreneur that knows his tech very well, but doesn't know how to sell. And in the same class, they don't see eye to eye. So this year, actually, what a great chance for me to pitch. This year, we actually are committed to doing 5 cohorts with the CPSA catered just to small mid-sized businesses, so that we actually give relevant content to the right people, so that CPSA is doing a better job training and not having the small guys with the big guys, but also we are committed to the community that we service. So that is actually a byproduct of me, Sandro, and Janine doing strategic planning at the end of the year, right? So definitely, that's a good relationship. We've also have other partnership that actually allowed us to grow in the COVID time as well. We've also picked up a Scotiabank. I've always had a Scotiabank partnership, but Scotiabank wants to get into small mid-sized business as well. And we actually have a not-for-profit that we sponsor called Small and Mighty. So there's a small business database in Small and Mighty. So sponsorship, so Scotiabank is actually working with us to access our Small and Mighty winners, Small and Mighty community, how Scotiabank can help them, right? So, well, the list goes on. Like I'm deep in tech Canada as well. I work with the tech chairs and I'm a tech speaker, and the exposure there to small mid-sized business in the tech world was also a good strategic partnership picked up for us as well. McKay Form is also another partner. So there's quite a number of partners. Like we actually, partnership, like I mentioned, is a big strategy for us in 2021, and we continue to leverage partnership in 2022. So we looked at our partnership. So list of how many types of partner we have. We actually have 13 type of partnership that we do. We also have tech partners, right? We actually have really good tech partners because in our position is that we want small, going back to, I think someone mentioned that they are a solopreneur. You need to leverage efficiency. So the way to get to efficiency in small mid-sized business is leveraging tech. So we have a huge tech database of partner where we work with our small mid-sized businesses, look at efficiency through tech, and then we work with our tech partner to think, okay, which tech lays with which tech will fit which partner, and we collaborate with them to bring everything together. My client wins, we win because they are happy and they buy more from us because they're making money, and then my tech partner wins because they have a new client, and I'm happy that everybody just more efficient. So like I mentioned, like every partnership comes in all shapes, size, and form. You really have to look at exactly, my experience have always been look at your client, what they need, stem from that and see what is it that they want that I cannot offer, find a partner, do co-selling. That might be a good like first wave of trying to find good partners. I went on there.
Thank you so much for those examples. I love that, Agnes. Thank you so much. And we're really proud to be a partner of yours, Agnes, 100%. We've answered all of our questions, so we've reached the end of our webinar. You feel free to say what you need to say to our great audience today. If not, I can close it up for us.
I guess the biggest thing is if you want to continue to talk to me or have any sales questions, I'm an open book when it comes to sales. The best channel, honestly, is LinkedIn. Like I mentioned, it's easiest because there's
Yeah.
not many as Exitland, but Janine and Riplin would give you my email afterwards, anyways, and I'll do an outreach probably next week to get you guys engaged.
Absolutely. Only 3 Agnes Lands and only 1 at Change Connect. Thank you so much. So thank you so much to everyone today who's joined this fantastic webinar with Agnes. Thank you so much, Agnes, for facilitating today with this great content. As some of you know who've attended our webinars this year in the past, my New Year's resolution here at the CPSA is to really bring our sales community as much topical and new content as possible with the help of our accredited partners just like Change Connect. So our tangible sales content and Change Connect's latest article has just been published to CPSA's Learning Hub, and it is called The Importance of Building Rapport in a Collaborative Business Relationship. So very topical content, very similar to kind of what we've learned today, but in article format. If you haven't already, please make sure that you head on over to the Learning Hub to have a look at that article. And if you'd like to register for any of our upcoming webinars, please feel free to head on over to cpsa.com/calendar, where you will find all of our virtual events listed there, including our next virtual training session, which is going to be February 9th on growing wallet share with Carrie Carterillo. I will not miss the fact that Agnes is actually going to be on our upcoming International Women's Day panel. So that will be on March 7th with us. And you can view all of the registration pages there on our calendar site. But Agnes will be with us again in March, and I will be in touch next week with our recording and the resources that I just mentioned from Change Connect. So thank you so much, everybody, and have a great day. Thanks again, Agnes. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.